Today, guys, we're talking about the difference between mountain life and front range life here in Colorado. Stay tuned to the end to get a chance to hear all about it. So today, guys, before we get into this video, I just want to say if you've got any questions whatsoever real estate related about the Pikes Peak area, it doesn't have to be in the mountains, it could be down the Colorado Springs area, anywhere around the Pikes Peak region, please don't hesitate to reach out and call. We are your local mountain real estate experts, and we will definitely help answer any questions that you might have buying, moving, or selling here, and we definitely want to be the ones to help you do that. You can reach out to us either via phone call or text at 719-266-2725, or you can email us at info@jdmret.net, and we'll get right back to you to help answer those questions and to help facilitate that move to make it as smooth and as easy as possible. Stay tuned, you're going to get a chance to see a lot of cool things in this next video. Okay, so today, guys, we're talking specifically about the differences of living in the mountains as opposed to the front range here in Colorado. And that's always a huge question because, well, there's some major differences. Those of us in the mountains are always teasing the folks living down the Colorado Springs, the front range area. They're basically living in Kansas, looking at Colorado, we're living in Colorado. But the reality is it's all Colorado, and it's such a cool place to live. There's so many cool dynamics. Whether you live on the front range or you live up in the mountains, it really doesn't matter. You get a chance to experience a lot of this as well. So some of the most obvious parts are if you live up in the mountains, you're definitely going to be a little bit more rural. You're definitely going to be a little bit less population size than what you have down in the front range. And you're going to be a lot higher too, not just because you're in Colorado, but because you're up in the mountains. So when you're up in the mountains, specifically up in the Teller County area, you're typically going to be anywhere between 8,500 to 9,500 feet. That's not uncommon to see. You can be in some areas that are a little bit lower, down in the upper 7,000s if you're out on the western side of Teller County. That can kind of change a little bit, but it's a pretty high altitude type atmosphere or type lifestyle that's up here too. Down in Colorado Springs, if you're down towards the fountain area, you're going to be in the mid 5,000 above sea level. And as you go up closer into the monument and the Palmer Lake area and you're going up to the Palmer Divide, you can actually end up into the 8,000s in some of the areas up there. Plus, if you get up against some of the foothills and you're up on the side of the mountains, that will obviously lift that too. We're just talking about generics through this too. But I do want to emphasize some very specific things. Just because you're in the mountains doesn't mean you're going to get snow slammed all the time. Doesn't mean you're going to have extremely cool temperatures either. And just because you're down on the front range doesn't mean that you're not going to get snow slammed or socked in, or that you could have some pretty extremes based on where you're looking at in the Colorado Springs area too. So let's start with the Colorado Springs area. That's our biggest area, and then we'll work our way up into the mountains. So when you're looking in South Colorado Springs near Fountain in the Fort Carson area, that's lower in altitude than the rest of Colorado Springs. And because of that, you're a little bit closer to Pueblo in that further southern area, and it can get a little bit hotter in the summertime down there. Now, there's a lot of homes out there that will have AC. A lot of homes in general on the front range are going to have air conditioning at this point. Some might still have the old school swamp coolers. I never knew what that was, even growing up in South Florida, until I came here and I was like, what in the world is a swamp cooler? And then I found out, oh, it's just basically a fan that water's pouring down near it and it's pulling all that evaporation off on it and pushing it out in the house. And it does cool things down. Seen it used in aircraft hangars, seen it used in homes too, but we're getting away from a lot of those and getting more to your air conditioners, centralized air that you'll see a lot of down in the front range area. You're definitely going to need it a little bit more towards the southern edge where it gets a little bit drier of Colorado Springs as opposed to going north. Now, topographically, things change, and vegetation-wise, all kinds of stuff, things change pretty dramatically on the front range out there as well, and it can be a little bit greener, a little bit more moist, and also cooler as you get a little bit further north. Now, there are some hot pockets that are down in Colorado Springs that have more tendency for thunderstorms to kind of build up on in the summertime that'll push off towards Kansas and actually supply a lot of those storms that you see producing the tornadoes in Tornado Alley in Kansas and Oklahoma. Those will typically start right there on the front range and move east. So there are some places that you can definitely see and watch out for, and we'll definitely advise you on that too as you're looking to buy it. That's why having a garage is really important, and a good roof is important too. But we can talk you through all that stuff as well. Now, Colorado Springs, on the general basis, pretty easy to get around in. The hard part's going to be going east to west on there. The further you get away from I-25, specifically out east, just plan on it taking longer because you got lots of traffic lights to go through just to get back to the west side and vice versa. So that is something that's not really set up very well infrastructure-wise. However, north to south is set up extremely well, and you can go north to south fairly quickly, both on the east side of Colorado Springs, off of Powers and Mark Shuffle, as well as on the west side of Colorado Springs, with I-25 being right there for you too. So those are some easy back and forths that you can do. Now, most of the new stuff down in the Front Range is going to be happening up on the north side of Colorado Springs. There are some new things being built down on the south side, just not as much as what you're seeing in North Colorado Springs and that area. So that area is becoming more desirable also. We see Colorado Springs grow. Now, you'll see differences too in age of homes from the west side of I-25 compared to the east side of I-25. Usually the west side has a little bit older homes because that's where they built first. Most desirable area, closer to the mountains, and it spreads east out into the plains where you get some of the newer areas as well. So that kind of gives you an idea of a little bit of the Colorado Springs. Now, before we jump up to the mountains, I do want to point out too, just because you're not in the mountains doesn't mean you're not going to get mountain weather. There's all kinds of crazy weather phenomena that do happen because of the mountains right here and the extreme differences in altitude that do play an effect on the atmosphere and how that weather builds and does things. Now, it is not uncommon to see Colorado Springs sucked in with a weather event, so completely clouded in with clouds that are actually below where we are up in the mountains too, and it could be sunny up in the mountains. That happens quite a bit. You can also see Arctic cold fronts come into the Colorado Springs area and make it extremely cold. In fact, like single digits for the highs for just a few days on there, with negative digits in the evenings, and see it 20 to 30 degrees warmer in the mountains, which are 3,000 to 4,000 feet higher than what you're seeing in the Springs. Wild inversion stuff that you will see. So it doesn't always happen, but we can see that happen quite a bit. So don't think you're out of the whole weather phenomenon just because you're down there. Now, some of the benefits of being down in the Colorado Springs area is you're going to have easy access north and south. So if you're not just looking at going west, you've got lots of access up and down the Front Range, up to Denver, all the way up to Fort Collins and Boulder, all the way back down into Pueblo, down to Trinidad and New Mexico. That's easy to access on the I-25 corridor to really get you north and south really easily to get out and explore and see things. You've also still got all the access to all the things that those of us that live in the mountains have too, because you just drive west and you can come up in the mountains and check it out as well. Now, the mountains, a little bit different, just because, like I said earlier, it's going to have a little bit more of a rural feel. It can be more expensive to live up here as well, just because this is highly sought after, and it takes a little bit more to build a home up here with International Code, plus getting material up here and the labor up here than it does down in the Front Range. And we have much more limited resources up here than they do down the Front Range too, so we can't have as congested of an area as you see in Colorado Springs. So you will capture some things that are really cool to see up here that are very different than down in the Springs. We got the wildlife up here. Of course, you can have those down in Colorado Springs too. In fact, I got a feeling a lot of folks down on the west side of Colorado Springs see more bears than we do up here, just because of the amount of homes and trash that people leave out. So not really a good thing, but they do see a lot of bears because of that. And they got a lot of mule deer down there too. We got tons of mule deer up here as well. We got moose up here. We got bear. We got mountain lions. We've got coyotes. We've got bobcats. We got lynx. We've got everything. And I think I said elk. We have elk up here too, obviously. Lots of big herds of elk. But you got the enjoyment of having the wildlife around, plus feeling like you're kind of living in nature. You've got lots of opportunities with tons of national forests that's close by and public lands with BLM that provide you access, plus all the state parks and wildlife management areas that are up here too, that you can enjoy and really enjoy that mountain style lifestyle, which is very different than being down in the Springs. Now, yes, we are much higher. No, we don't end up with a ton of snow. This isn't Breckenridge or Keystone. There's a reason why there's not a ski slope that has been successful on the side of Pikes Peak. And yes, they tried it. If you didn't realize that, Google it and you'll find out they were complete failures. They just couldn't have enough snow to actually make that make sense. And we might have higher snow years than other years, but it's not consistent enough to make it make sense to make this into a ski town out here as well. So that's good news if you're concerned about having 12 feet of snow piled up outside of your door. That stuff doesn't happen very often. On average, we end up with about, I think it's 160 to 170 inches, depending on where you are in Teller County, of snow for the entire year. Doesn't mean that's all piled on top of itself. That's the total amount through the year. A lot of that's packing down and melting throughout the year. The most I've seen in the 10 years we've been here on a normal basis is maybe 1.5 to 2 feet that's packed in some areas. You're still going to see lots of patches of ground popping out where it's already melted. There, we're really talking the shaded areas, the areas that don't get a whole lot of sun throughout the day that'll have a hard time for that snow melting. Now, I say normal because last year we had a record-breaking snowfall that came in March. We had 4 feet of snow, and that was not normal. Number one, if that was normal, we'd probably have a ski slope out here. Number two, if that was normal as well, we would be gone. Like, we don't do that. That was something I don't want to experience again. We have the equipment to handle it. It's just not me. I like what we get currently, which is, anywhere between 1 to 3 inches to maybe 18 inches on a normal basis, and that's it. Light, fluffy snow, and it's gone in 2 days off the roads, and you can get through everything. That's what I prefer. But another great thing about being at Prairie Mountains is your easy access to all the outdoor adventure stuff that is up here, and just really getting a chance to enjoy all that. Now, obviously, if you live closer to Woodland Park, you're going to have a lot more amenities with that as well, as far as shopping with Walmart, Safeway, Intercity Market, plus you got natural grocers there, Tractor Supplies there. We've got a couple hardware, lumber yards that are there as well that you can get into to take care of things. Florissant's also got Ace Hardware out there. You've got lots of different options for this area. And the great thing about it too is you get to enjoy the ruralness of living in the mountains of Colorado with a very quick trip into Colorado Springs if you need to do something major, like go to Costco or fly to Colorado Springs Airport. There's so many different things you can do that are right there at your fingertips that are amazing too. So definitely a different style of life. And we see vehicle driving up here is actually a lot better than it is down in the Springs too during the wintertime. I think that's because we're a lot more prepared up here too. We've got better tires. We've got all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive vehicles up here a lot more. Folks down in the Springs a lot of times seem to think that they can get away with not having something winter-proof to be able to drive up here, something that they would probably have year-round in Texas and have no problems, or out, somewhere south where it doesn't get that cold that often or to have that much snow, and they have nothing but issues when the snow comes in, and that's when all the little pileups start down in the Springs. So I like staying up here when we have lots of snow. It's usually a lot safer up here than it is down there. So I hope that answers your questions on some of the difference of front range and mountain living. We definitely have a lot of different things that you can take atmospheric wise, based on what you're desiring too. There's so many different atmospheres around Pikes Peak in general, like the big 14,000 foot mountain that we have that's in our Pikes Peak region that it's named for, that will provide you opportunities to get out of the current climate that you're in and get into another one. Heading south in the wintertime is a very common thing, going down to Canyon City, down into that Pueblo area. Really, the Kansas City area is a big one down there because that's a good time to enjoy that. What you could see is easily 110 degree days down there in the summertime. In the wintertime, it's a lot nicer than being up necessarily cold wise up on top of the mountain. It can give you a little bit of reprieve from that as well. So there you have it. If you guys have any questions or concerns on any of this, feel free, you can make a comment down below that we'll definitely try to respond for you on too. But don't forget, if you got anything whatsoever that you need to contact us with real estate wise, this is the James E. Mountain Homes team, and I am James Dean. I'm the team leader of that. We've got agents here, including myself, that are ready to help you guys with that move. Whether you're buying or selling or just moving to this area, please reach out. We are your local mountain real estate experts, and we want to help you. So don't forget, you can call or text 719-266-2725, or you can email at info@jdmrt.net. Look forward to seeing you guys next video.